That's back from a little vacation. You know, had a death in the family. It wasn't too bad. You know, yeah, peace, joy. You know, no pain, no suffering. Anything from this life. You know, so needless to say, just took a little time off to reflect on things and get back to the business as usual. But there's some links in the description if you want to look at those links and kind of run through. Of course, you don't always have the 9 laws of self-government. Try to govern, your life according to how you feel, things to help you out. And also, that link is about 32 ways to improve yourself. And, that link's right there for those that want to check it out. But needless to say, get to the point, the best way to invest in yourself is, the approach of knowledge. Learning things, getting things understood, and having intent for them to, represent yourself and do things right. So, learning knowledge that can, elevate you. One way of, basically learning knowledge is read a book. Even to the point you can't read, they literally have translators, they have speech, they even have machines and men like objects that you can buy that can read things out for you. You have audio books. So technically right now there's no excuse for somebody that don't know how to read. You can teach yourself how to read by reading audio books. Because my kids were in school and I never understood why the teachers would always give sight words and focus more on the sight words than to actually take the sight words and teach the kids how to spell the words. It's just all about memorization. You need to remember the words that you see and repeat versus sounding out the words so you can learn how to pronounce the words. So that's one little crazy thing I learned with my kids. Versus my older kids, my younger kids need to be included. The way they teach and teaching these kids. It's kind of crazy. But, retaining knowledge is, big for yourself too. Because, you look at the 9 laws of self-government, the discipline you have with learning how to do things, that's another way to, basically invest in yourself. People who eat too much in general, learning how to control your appetite. Some people don't have willpower. So, they're at the mercy of food. Learning how to control that sometimes it's not easy when you get to a certain weight because all you want to do is eat. So it comes a point where you literally have to, just look at things for what they are. And, for the most part, you're trying to lose weight, you need help. You might need a coach, you might need a trainer, uh, as they call it. In most cases, you need a buddy, someone that can help you, push you to the limit, always making sure you keep up with your goals, you know, and that's a lot of good things too with setting goals, trying to achieve certain things. I used to wrestle, so there are some times when I know I want to lose weight, I don't eat fried food, I don't eat bread, you know, and okay, my Bluetooth just went out. Think I need to charge it. Let's go ahead and get that charged. But for the most part, though, with me losing weight, and I know me cutting out of my bread, eating more vegetables. Like now, I eat a lot of vegetables, and it cuts me from being bigger than I am. But just eating more vegetables and cutting out the meat is a big thing. A lot of people don't actually, look into what vegetables and fruits do for, as far as health wise, even with far as taking a lot of vitamins. I mean, at the rate, if you're over 30, you should be taking some type of multivitamin to, sustain your body. A lot of us, we don't take care of our health. We don't eat properly. So with us not eating properly, you know, we have to find the knowledge to, keep us, at a good health rate. Because you have an understanding. There are certain things like far as pork, you eat everything as they said from the rooter to the tutor. Then mostly applies with chicken and cows as well. Because in most cases I've heard people eating cow foot, or chicken feet. You know, chicken feet got a lot of bones. It's not that much meat. They take it and boil it in a pot, make a stew with it. You know, and it comes from the times of people not having and wanting. So pretty much that's what they do. They, eat what they can afford, eat what they can get. And to that degree, you know, sets the tone. You have to learn how to adapt. But needless to say, like I say, get back into it. Reading books, doing things that can benefit you is always good. And for a lot of us, we don't initially take the time out to do things that can help us or motivate us. Big initiative is, investing in yourself, learning things that can, push you down the line and be successful. I'm probably not going to be too long-winded today because I got, pretty good little bit of stuff to do. But at the same time, you know, investing in yourself is one of the key things. A lot of people don't focus on themselves, and that's why they have a lot of problems, issues and dealing with things down the line. Dr. CQ, what's going on? I haven't been over to your channel in a minute, man. Blessings to you, blessings to you. But when it comes down to it, this funded with me learning about some information about my life insurance, and then converting, conversating with people about the housing market and things. And I was talking to this young lady, and with her, she was renting a property. I was actually doing some work over there, and she was just tired of the landlord not fixing things in this house. She's been in the house for about 3 years. She said she liked the house, and the rent is pretty cheap. And, pretty much you just want to stay there. And the guy wasn't going too harsh up on the rent. And she was looking at the whole benefit of, look at this roof. He's supposed to fix the roof. He had somebody come do it, and they made a mistake, and the water started coming into the house versus they fixing the gutters to where the water won't come down the gutter when they go into the house. Then it spent off to a whole thing of the sewer line is getting backed up, the issue with pipes busting in the walls, and she just didn't want to deal with that if she was to have her own house. And so, for the most part, the thing was for her to say, well, if I just, as long as I rent and I maintain a good level of rent, I'm good. She ended up having her son move in with her. She had about, I think, two sons. And out of the two sons, you know, um, I think she had three sons, but, all of them were grown. But one of them moved back in due to a little situation she explained. And I said, okay, that's understandable. And I was expressing to her when she get that house, she can use her son to actually, show that she makes more money, even though she makes enough money to afford a house. But it's just, her thing was she was just looking at the maintenance on the house. I told her she can get a warranty. She was looking at the market, the way it is with the houses. And I was explaining to her, I said,
It's all, in my opinion, it's always the best time to buy a house. I don't think there's too much no time as a worst to buy a house because even with the market value of these houses are so high to the degree you can negotiate. None of these prices are technically set in stone unless it's just really not to come off the price. You can negotiate though. Four Corners, what's going on? Lonzo, meant to shout out to you earlier. I was in a roll. But needless to say, you can always refinance. You can always, come to the point of, negotiating a deal. You can do a sub two to where you can actually take over their loan with a low interest rate. So a lot of people are not thinking about that, especially with I think it's the Fannie Mae, FHA, HUD dealing with those um agencies. You can actually take over someone's loan with a low interest rate. It works some things out to where you can come in, get a loan on the property, and pay that they're already paying, just taking over their loan. And a lot of times, a lot of people don't do their research, and that's what's hindering a lot of us by not doing research. And just say the least, getting into the life insurance real quick. I was saying about one of my family members just passed last week. That's why I wasn't actually on. With her having insurance, and it was a thing that she didn't have insurance all the way up until her father died, like about 4 years ago. Now, just say she would have never put insurance on herself. She was about 55 as well, but let's go to say that she never had got insurance. You know, um, the family would have had to come together and kind of bury her to the point where I was talking to my um brother and I was telling him the same thing. I said, if something happened to you, you don't have insurance, we'll have to gather up the money to bury you. And I would say, my granny, which is my great grandma, she said it's not fair. You're not supposed to be a burden to anybody, man or woman. Not supposed to be a burden. You're supposed to put things in play to take care of yourself, and take care of the ones around you if you want to, you know. So it was a big thing for everybody to have life insurance. And nowadays I'm starting to see that is starting to, that whole thought pattern, appreciate that, has went down because for the simple fact, a lot of people in our family nowadays versus them having these conversations about, something happening to you that you ought to be prepared. A lot of us are not having these conversations. The elders are keeping their mouth shut because they don't want to disturb the youth. The youth are, flying off the handles, going crazy. I remember back in the day, if a child act a certain way, they get put out the house. Now it's being shamed upon putting a child out at a young age because of, their unstable, misunderstood habits. You know, that's when you have family members, that could step in and take that child in, work with them, and send them back home if need be, or they take that child and keep that child. You know, the parents then, shoot them some money, give them some money, let them live over there. One of my cousins, he did that with his son because he just got into a new relationship, and a kid he had when he was young, the mother was going through some things, and he ended up getting the son from her because she wasn't taking care of him properly, and set him in with his mom for a while until he got everything situated to get a bigger property, and end up bringing him along and talking with his wife about, he's bringing his son over there, and it got to a point to where they were bump heads, but then everything, kind of panned out because, at the end of the day, everybody knows, a son wants his mom just like he wants his dad. So when you're bringing in mixed families, it tends to have a little twist with it. But, eventually it'll work itself out. That child has to understand that, that father or mother is not there to harm them, and that father has to make sure that level of understanding on both parties too, as well as the mother. There's times when the mother bringing kids in, so they both have to have that understanding. Morning, Keith, and that understanding makes the relationship goes better, you know, and from that understanding, you gain more knowledge investing in yourself because you therefore can teach that to your kids, about being humble, and learning how to work with people, having an understanding that things are not always set up to be right, things are not always set in stone. So we have to learn how to progress in life. So when it comes down to it, everybody can have an understanding. Everybody, kind of works together. Everybody learns something from anything good or bad. I always say I can learn something from a child just like I can learn something from a crackhead. Because a crackhead can teach me not to be on crack. A crackhead can teach me all the mistakes that they made in life to get to that point in their life. A child can teach me patience because, especially infants, they can't talk or don't really talk as much. You have to have patience to understand what that child is trying to tell you. Out of the whining and everything else, having that patience and that level of understanding that this child can't pronounce their words or they can't talk, but they can physically move. Kids telling you that they're hungry or showing you that they, just basically as infants using the bathroom on themselves. A lot of infants make faces and squirm around. Then that's when you smell it, or you're just touching that pamper. Okay, well, you peed too much. That's why you're irritated. Let me clean you up. You boo boo on yourself. Let me clean you up. Just having that level of understanding, you know, and more or less you start investing in yourself. You start reading books, knowing how to be a good parent. You start talking to the elders or talking to some of this, just in general, some that's around your age that's had a child, seeking that knowledge and learning, you know, retaining that and passing that to the next generation. That's one of the biggest things about us as people. When we get information, it's just like the internet. We should just be sharing it. You go to so many blog sites, whether they're giving good information or bad information, they're trying to help the best way they can. So a lot of times people neglect that because we want to be entertained. I never have a problem with it being entertained. I like watching good movies. I like watching shows, to an extent. You have the elders talk about love and hip hop and all these shows being ratchet. I watch that stuff every now and then, but it gets to a point that I'm not watching it every day. Like, I think when, what was it, Atlanta Housewives came out, I think I watched a little bit of the first season and a little bit throughout all the other seasons, but I was never really interested in it like that. I just wanted to see what the show was about. What to see, like, this whole thing, like, what's so big about this show, but everybody's talking about. And we're glorifying people just living their normal lives, but putting it on Front Street with everybody, you know. And to a degree, you can see there's a little bit of acting involved by the way people carry themselves, and that boosts the morale of the show and the entertaining side of it. But for the most part, I like looking at documentaries. I like trying to learn things. Shout out to Alonzo Hall. I'm always literally on his channel looking at videos. Like, I didn't know I had what is it called, living. I just remember it and I lost it that quick. Living benefits. That's what it is. Yeah, living benefits, to the point where with my life insurance, if something ever happens to me, I could literally take that life insurance and get a percentage out, depending on me having cancer, depending on me having a terminal illness to where I can't do certain things. I can literally go on my life insurance and take that money out and use that half of that money, a quarter of that money now, versus until I die, just leave it for my family. That money right there can sustain the bills or possibly give me something that can have the cure for me. Who knows? With getting that type of money, I might can find some special doctor over in Europe that I can, you know, spend $4,000 for a round trip ticket. Go over there, spend $15,000, $50,000 up front for this consultation, and it cures me. Or looking at life insurance, like Alonzo say, you have death insurance where you pay for your funeral arrangement, your plot, and all that stuff. That's burial insurance. Then they have life insurance that you use for your life. And once again, creating more knowledge. I was listening to this man, and he was saying that, as far as the life insurance, well, the reason why you speak so much on generational wealth, the life insurance is mainly not for me, for the most part. It's mostly doing to my kids, so that next generation, and teach upon that. He said the guy was talking about how he ended up going to a Rolex store, and in that Rolex store, he ended up listening to a guy and talking with him that he was the son of the Rolex store he normally goes to. And the guy was explaining, like, yeah, this is my family's tradition to where I own the Rolex store. My father has a Rolex store. My great granddad, and it went from generation to generation. And they have money set aside for the kids to purchase their stores and run their stores, and not really no competition because you're in family. So if he buys from you or if he buys from me, that's still in house, you know. And the biggest thing is having that mindset to where you're working with a greater cause. And like I said, with this guy knowing that his father set things into play is similar to what people are talking about with generational wealth and life insurance. You know, I'm setting it to play. Well, I can use some of my money right now, but the majority of my money I want to benefit my kids. You know, and with generational wealth, like I was explaining to my wife about getting another policy, it's not for me just to actually give money to my kids. I want to make sure my grandkids have money as well. See, now that's the knowledge. You know, I once seen Shaq talk about being wealthy, and he explained, I'm rich, but I met people that are wealthy. He said, having money makes you rich. Having money upon generation, now that's wealth. And that grasp that concept, and I say, yeah, that's a thing. That is a thing. And for everybody that's coming in, check out the links in the description of the video. I got the 9 laws of self-govern, and I have a link of, you know, 32 ways of improving yourself. Focusing on, working out, focusing in on, just being a better you, cleaning what's going on, and focus on the things that you need in your life, pretty much in general, taking care of your health, you know, improving yourself with your knowledge, reading books, the way you eat, taking vitamins, all these things to invest in yourself. And when you invest in yourself, that's your wealth. You know, it's a cliche thing, but that's what it is. A lot of people don't invest in themselves. They don't take time out to, read a book for some understanding. Even with looking at a show, if you're not even reading a book, looking at something that can give you knowledge. You know, I always talk about watching documentaries a lot. You know, um, just me just reading books, just give me the motivation. Lonzo, I'm like I said, watching Lonzo videos about my life. You know, how I can better suit myself. And you know, we always complain about people not giving us stuff for free, but Lonzo's giving the information out for free. That's what I always talk about when the whole thing with him, when me and him had got the policy. I already knew what I was dealing with because the whole situation with Alonzo, He already had the conversation about that. So the biggest thing with me was to just go ahead, get in there, retain that knowledge, and go ahead and get a policy. Why do I have to go through the whole thing of, well, I mean, I've had any questions I need to ask, I can ask during that consultation. And once that consultation is done, go ahead and get the policy. I'm not gonna call them and say, well, I just want to make some questions about this. Look at these videos. Majority of the time, anything you want to look at as far as information about a policy, it's in the video. You have several titles to the video, and if not, hey, contact Alonzo, email, hey man, I want to ask these questions. You probably went over. You have a video about this. You might even say, well, check this video. If these videos is they talking about this, but why not go ahead and do the research for yourself? Take the initial time, invest in yourself by going to look at his videos that can help. A lot of us, we kind of stray away from doing research when we get out of high school and college. Doing these reports and stuff like that, we stray away from that due to the fact that we're focusing more on, just give it to. I want it. What is that? J.G. Wentworth. I want my money and I want it now. Just give me the knowledge and give it to me now. I don't want to look for it. It comes to a point, even with the church. That's why a lot of us, anything the church say, we just believe it. Because why? Nobody studies. Nobody's look at things. What was the whole thing back in the day? If you want to hide something from somebody, read it, put it in a book. Nobody reads. That was one of the key big things about, information. Put it in a book. Nobody don't want to read anything. So bettering yourself, to invest in you, you got to do a little reading. Like I said, to a point, even if you don't read, you have little videos. And that's the thing about it. Fact check things. Once you hear something, Google is everybody's friend. Google is in everybody's pocket to a degree. If you have a cell phone, you have some form of researching whatever someone's talking about, asking questions about. Prime example, 2 Raw TV, shout out to him. Him and the guy, Street Doctor, was having a conversation about the Patriots and the Dolphins. Street Doctor is for the Patriots. 2 Raw is for the Dolphins. He's from Florida. He literally got up and was talking about how the Dolphins has a better record than the Patriots. And we all look at that as not really, because the Patriots won so many Super Bowls. But every time the Dolphins and the Patriots meet, the Dolphins have beat the Patriots more times than the Patriots beat the Dolphins. Now, in recent years, they was on an incline. But previous to that, before they had Brady and the whole factor, man, they was losing. And I was like, I would have never knew that if you didn't have Google or found a way to research this. It's like, that's the thing, we don't take our time, do things. We don't want to research. If someone tells you something, you just take it for face value and go ahead. Nah, I would like to really know if this person telling the truth or not. Just like I was listening to this lady, shout out to the zodiac signs. I was laughing because she was saying that the most richest zodiac sign is the Libra. I'm like, okay, I'm a Libra. I'm like, I don't believe that. Let me go check. Pulled it up. Lo and behold, most of the richest people are Libras. I say, well, I checked that one. I'm going to go check somewhere else and see if I can find some more information. Once again, said it again. I said, okay, it is what it is. I did my research on it. I looked at 2 sites. They both came with the same conclusion as the lady did in the video. Cool. Even though I don't really go off the zodiac signs because, it is what it is. But, say the least, hey, show to be proven. If Libras are the most rich, that means I'm, into my destiny about, making money. But say the least, get back into it. Investing in yourself. Like I said, check the link out in the description. 32 ways to invest in yourself. Shout out to Gold Professor that has the 9 laws of self-govern. You know, those 9 laws of self-govern, I always harp on the first three. You know, the first one, for the most part, hey, self-explanatory. You have to be disciplined. Disciplined in the way you eat, disciplined in the way you talk, you move. And it's kind of crazy that you won't be disciplined with your husband or your wife at home going back and forth, but you know how to be disciplined to keep a job. Now with the youth, that's kind of different because they don't care what they say. They don't care if they get fired, to a degree. Now a lot of them since 19, they've all had, bite their tongue about certain things. But being disciplined, that's one way right there. Being disciplined on how you eat. You shouldn't be eating too much food, but at the same time, like taking care of your body. You know, yeah, sorry about that. I was trying to make sure I had everybody with their wrenches in here so they can drop their links and stuff. I always forget to tell people to drop your link. Just promote your channel or somebody see your channel, they can go to it. Everybody good. But like I say, for the most part, just investing in yourself and like I say, protecting yourself, having that discipline with those 9 laws, protecting yourself, being a better you, protecting yourself, from physical harm, protecting yourself, your mind, start trying to look at things now instead of getting older. You want to start taking care of your health. I heard a pastor once say, as we're young, we spend all our time and energy trying to make money and we avoid our health. Then as we get older, we spend all our time and energy with our money trying to get back our health. Let's kind of work on that now so when we get older, we can live. I know a guy, he's 73 years old. Guy still cut grass. I think a couple of times he did about 5 or 6 yards in one day. I'm like, man, you're not 16, 20, or 30 years old, dude. 72, you need to take it easy, you know. And he always telling me we're gonna throw a big party when he turns 75. I told him I help him plan it, find a spot to do. But I'm like, you gotta be around for your 72 birthday. I mean for your 75 birthday. And with you doing all this work like that, you gotta take it easy, man. Focus on you. You're like, yeah, you're right. So now he cut it down and doing about 3 yards. Even with his equipment, he invested in himself. He went and got an $8,000 lawnmower. And a lot of people's like, man, that's too much money. $8,000 on a lawnmower. But the thing is this, zero turn. It's a commercial zero turn. It's not a, residential type, these ones that you get from Home Depot and stuff. He bought one of those. That lawnmower didn't last him but 3 years. Kept breaking down, had to put more money into it. And that one was $3,000. He paid $5,000 more and he still had this lawnmower. Of course, you got to do the regular maintenance, oil change and stuff. I think the tires a little bit, but other than that, far as the deck that holds the lawnmower, the belts haven't been popping like his old lawnmower, all that stuff. He put $8,000 towards him keeping his lawnmower for a lifetime, pretty much. You know, same thing with all his other equipment. Make it easy on himself. There's a guy that works with me at my job now, deliver pallets. He got an electric pallet jack. He said, with him getting that electric pallet jack is the best thing for him to protect his back long term. I told him, I said, man, I'm thinking about getting me one. You don't have to lift, you don't have to pull on those pallets, put strain on his knees, uh, lifting the pallet, kind of shifting certain things. That pallet has a motor on it. And with that pallet having a motor on there, he's able to just move around the way he wants to with that pallet jack. So, that cuts down on all that straining and on the body and everything because everything is electric. He has a little motor on there. It can drive forward, drive backwards. It can lift up. You don't have to do all that strain. So that's a good benefit of that. And then, just like I said, he invested all this money for a long term. This guy literally gonna have this jack. He had a situation where the jack messed up on him. He went and got another one for a rental. And that's the thing. You know, doing things that can benefit you to help you to have long term health, long term, that's it's worth the money. You know, yeah. I see. The thing is, learning these things and retaining it to be able to do it at your older age. You know, that's that's key. That's gold. Um, like with my house now, I dread it. I don't think I would want to do it again. I would rather pay more far as to keep my time and things, and putting um what is it, a form of laminate down on my floor, hardwood, and these are the ones that lock in. All you have to do is just put them lock in. It has padding on there to prevent anything from spilling on the floors, and when they lock, it goes into the seal. The seal locks up and it doesn't leak up under the subfloor anyway. So that's the good reason why I bought them. And I installed them myself. You know, went and looked at a couple of videos, did it myself, painted my house myself, the interior. I have vinyl outside, I just have to pressure wash that. And did all that myself, even cutting down the trees in my backyard. I've been cutting down the little smaller trees, the bigger trees. I have a winch to where I can crank it to another tree, and then when I cut it, it falls to the tree I cranked it to. I know those little small things that can, make things successful for me to not be able to call so many people, but it's just the whole point of me retaining this knowledge of learning this stuff on the fly, and a lot of people are not up to doing it. I cut down several trees with the older guy that's about 70 something years old. Me and this guy real cool friends. I worked with him at one of my previous jobs, and we became real close. And upon them trying to let him go to put me in his position, I let him know. And, we just been friends ever since. And it was crazy because the job was trying to, push me against the guy from the rip. And I was like, they was like, are you cool with the guy? I'm like, well, he's an older guy. What do we have in common? I'm like, this guy's is 60. I think it was at the time, he was about 65 or 67, and I was in my early 30s. Like, I'm like, we're cool, we associate with each other, but it's not really too much we have in common. So they was like, okay, well, we're gonna get rid of him and we're gonna do this and do that. So just be ready. I gave him a heads up. Let him know, hey, this is about to go down the pipeline. But, needless to say, me and this guy been friends for a long time, and he's taught me different things. He showed me different ways. And that's the whole thing of having somebody around you that's, has that knowledge that can teach you. That's one of the biggest investments is to having an instructor that you can deal with, you know, basically right in front of you. Needless to say, with my father passing, there are plenty of men that entered in my life that pretty much kept me focused on goals and things to do in life, and still adhere to the mission, I should say. You know, with me being a man, because it doesn't really stop with me just actually say, well, I'm a man. it keeps going. I have to learn constantly. There are certain things that old men are just now learning and comprehending about too, because that's the whole thing. Being a man is being a man. Shout out to Bruce, Gas, Boxing, and Jazz, and more. Shout out to Bruce. Bruce always over there giving good rundowns on boxing and the music. Man, I still keep going back to that Jimi Hendrix live you had, Bruce, man. Like that. But, needless to say, man, I'm about to get ready to jump off here. I've been saying I've been get off for a minute. It was gonna be short. Start getting into something and rolling on. But yeah, you know, investing in yourself, man, finding knowledge, key things that can help you out, focus on the mission and the goal at hand. For those that want to be rich, those that want to live a, certain type of life, those that want to, advance in not only just their job, but just in general overall, you got to retain the knowledge. You know, you got to invest in yourself. Watch what you eat. Live long. If you want to live long, you got to retain certain things that can help you out. The knowledge starts with that, and once you get go so forth from there. Boss lady, what's going on, Denise? But the biggest thing as we keep living, the more you keep living, the more you keep retaining this knowledge, the more you keep retaining this stuff. Like I said last week, the only reason I wasn't on as much, I had a passing in the family, and one of my cousins, she pretty much was a good person. Always hugged everybody, smiled all the time. You know, she lived her life to the fullest, and it was just so much, joy from her. And me taking this break, it was more or less to reflect on my life and to reflect on things around me and stuff. It wasn't that I was sad about her passing for the most part, because she was such a joyous person, and I knew she wouldn't want me to be, out here mourning her for so long, or, have a discomfort, because the only time I really, expressed myself or really about crying was when I talked to her mom, because that's my favorite aunt. That's one of my favorite aunts. I love her. And to be honest, that was my favorite cousin that passed. You know, Me and her brother, we have a good, strong bond and relationship. But with her, she was just like no other, and just the joy of her always talking, and, her just mimicking her mom with that warm feeling that, it was just one of those things that over time, you get over these things. Like, I don't harp on death as much, due to my great grandmother. She always say, you always got to remember the person while they was alive for all the good that they did. Because, the biggest things about us mourning over people, it gets to a point where you get too indulged, and, you know, then you start getting a broken heart. So you gotta be able to focus and balance on that as well. But needless to say that, my great grandmother always, basically told me, always remember the good for me. Don't remember if you don't even come to my funeral, she said, still remember the good. All the good stuff I did for you. She even say when I used to all the good of baking you them pies and stuff. And I laughed at that. And she was saying just, just in general, remember the good. Don't remember the bad, because that I'm passing or all the bad stuff that went on. Remember all the good that I did for you. That should keep you much joy. You know, I'm in a better place. I'm at peace. I'm not in this world dealing with any hardship or pain. And that's why I was telling my wife about her grandmother. My wife's grandmother is 94 years old, and I always go talk to her, and she always tell me, "You're gonna come see me before I go." And I always to tell her, I say, "Well, you're not going to the Lord till you're going." So, be that as it may, I always joke around and tell her that my wife is gonna have one more child so she can come babysit her and stuff like that. Even though she know my wife done with kids, and we done having these little kids. Shout out to Gold Professor in the building. All in all. But needless to say, you know, I always find joy with dealing with, the family and all of us, having good time with each other and loving. Paige, what's going on? I be seeing you with the Mentis Jug videos. They be hilarious. You be having all those old dance videos and putting the jug on there. I like them. I be checking them out. But you know, like I said, I'm at peace, happy, joyful. Just took time to more or less reflect on things. I still was making content and putting stuff in the tuck. I got a lot of videos I gotta bring out, and I got a lot of them I gotta actually, go through too. Yeah, sorry about that. Just make sure everybody had their riches and stuff to where you can share and drop your channels. People can go to your channel, check out your channel and everything. But like I said, having that knowledge is key. Investing in yourself. Got to be able to understand. And like I said, the links in the description. I have the 9 laws of self-governance. Shout out to Gold Professor for making those. Also to people that want to invest in yourself. There's a link right there in the description about 32 different things that you can do to change yourself and to be a better you. So, with that all being said, shout out to everybody that's coming through. And, I'm about to get ready to get out of here. But like I said, for the most part, retain knowledge. Like I was saying earlier about that lady that wanted to buy that house, you know, her biggest thing was she didn't want to have to fix the house up because she didn't know if she could do it herself. I told her about the home warranty. She was, scared about what if anything happens and I do this and I do that with the house. I told her, go ahead, buy a house. There's never a worse time to buy a house. You can always refinance. You can negotiate the price. Get an inspection. We had like almost $20,000 knocked off our house because we needed a new roof, needed a new deck, new stairs. The stairs, all I do is replace the boards. The deck, I'm about to start replacing the boards and frame it out again. But other than that, like my house is still in good standing. Got a new roof with the warranty. I had an extended warranty. They had a new roof put on there. Had the AC fixed. My extended warranty also covered my refrigerator. It recovers my dryer. Not recover, but covered my dryer. My dryer, was it the heated element went out? They came and fixed the heating element, no charge. The AC unit, when they came and put a new unit in there, they end up swapping it out with a train, a better unit, and stuff like that. All I had to pay was $95 just to replace the platform that the AC unit set on top. That was it. The roof just had to pay what was it, minimum something for the roof. Paid that. That was it. So when people keep always complaining about the houses are crazy, they can't afford a down payment. They got down payment assistance programs. Like I explained to the lady, she was like, now it seems like I'm just making excuses from talking to you about why I can't afford a house. I didn't say anything. All I said was it's just up to you. When you do the research and you're ready to buy a house, there you go. But until then, you know, just keep doing the research on them. They got down payment assistance program. I told the lady, I said if you get to a 700 credit score, you pretty much will be a shoe in for a house. I think around about 650 to 680, you can still get one. You just have to pay more on the down payment side. As far as when you go FHA. But the thing about it is, you have a home. You know, So it's always, having all these problems and issues. What's going on, NC worker? About buying a house and things. And like I keep telling people, you know, is there's different options. Generational wealth comes in the form of you, retaining that knowledge and passing that knowledge on to your kids. That's one of the biggest generational wealth besides you having money. That's one of the biggest generational wealth besides you having money. You know, I'm gonna read your page, read your comment, but that's one of the biggest things about you having, overall, the biggest thing overall, you know, that generational wealth is the knowledge, the money. Like this is one of the biggest things that, and with Alonzo. I was in one of his luncheons. There was a trust attorney. She expressed how that the family had some money set aside in a trust for their son to get. Got that money, cool. The guy got over, I think it was $3.4 million. By that next year, he was broke, filing bankruptcy, lost his condo, ended up having a Ferrari, had to get rid of that. It's one thing to literally have the money passed down to the next generation, but not having nothing to do, like the knowledge on keeping the money. There's a thing. If you take money out, you got to replace it. If you're always taking money out and not replacing it, that's a major issue. Major issue. And ultimately, that guy had $3.4 million by that next year from partying, going taking trips to Dubai. These young kids have no chill when it comes to that. They're not learning on the side of investing. Their parents, the guy's parents, sat up there and did what they were supposed to responsibly. But ultimately, the one thing that they did wrong was then pass down the knowledge. You can give a child. I gave my son $300. What was it for the Google Play? I gave him a Google Play card. Me and my wife $100. His brother and sister gave him one for $100. My brother gave him one for $100. He had $300 in his Google Play to play his games all on the internet. We're thinking that with $300, man, because that's what everybody got him Google Play cards for Christmas. Because he didn't want a PlayStation 5, he wanted a Google Play card, so everybody just got Google Play cards for him. Don't you know my son spent $300 literally in 19 minutes? $300 in 19 minutes. I was like, that's too much. His other brother, because I have twins, his other brother ended up, I think he spent 150 or $75 of his $300. And I think it took him about at least 3 months or 4 months because he was even giving his other brother money off of his Google Play so he can do stuff on his for Roblox. And like I said, just not having that, retaining that knowledge is a lot, you know. And Paige, shout out to you. That's the thing. Just sitting here going in. That's like Wanda. Always watching her videos. I keep saying I'm gonna do it. I haven't done it yet. The envelope challenge, where you start putting money in the envelope, starting that envelope challenge. I've been doing that recently. Been putting money in my I got a second account with my bank, so I just been transferring the money in my second account with my bank and just let it sit in there. That's what I've been doing because that's another thing that I came to the point of paying yourself first. A lot of people don't know about that. I always say, well, pay bills, have a little money for myself to do stuff. Paying yourself first. I always go pay bills first. I never pay myself first. Start doing that, paying myself first, putting money in the account, you know, then going from there. Have me start having a savings account. You know, they say ultimately you must have about 3 to 6 months of your paycheck, 3 to 6 months of your pay set aside just in case something happens. You know, I'm like, man, I'm behind. And it's to the point where you could say pretty much I'm not living paycheck to paycheck, but I'm pretty much like three paychecks behind, three paychecks ahead, to the point where if I go for about a month, maybe a month and a half, that's when I would have to literally start back working and stuff, even if I sell certain assets. And like I said with my cousin, I was talking with him. Besides this little side stuff that he do as far as a little job and stock, Dude ain't worked in 5 years. You talking about somebody that, had a 401k invested in his stock. He ended up taking that 401k and converted it into an IRA. He had a lot of savings, like what he would do, like the pretty much is just like the envelope challenge, but he did it far as with money. He has jars, and he take the jars and fill up the jars full of money. He roll them up and he stuffed the jars as much as he can. I think each jar holds 100 bills, so he does it from ones, fives, tens, all the way up to 100. You know, take that $100, roll them up. I think he had about a couple of them jars filled up between them and the 20s. 20s are available all the time. So, but I know the hundreds and stuff, not so much. But yeah, you know, yeah, that's true. You know, but it's a way to game. You take a little money, spend it, see if you can get for big. If not, walk away from it. That's what I do when I play cards. Sometimes, I play for a little, I get a lot, then I play with the house money after that. So if I lose, I'm not losing anything because I'm playing with the house money. And that's always the thing. The golden rule is the casino always wins. You know. So with that being said, I'm about to jump off of here, y'all. Shout out to everybody that came through. And like I said, look at the links in the description. Far as the 9 laws of self-govern with Gold P, Gold Professor that is, and the 32 ways of investing in yourself. And like I said, it's not even just with money and investing in yourself. Looking at the knowledge, check, everything that you can to improve you. That's one of the key things a lot of people keep forgetting about. It's always just not about the money and the knowledge as well. It's about other things to improve you. You know, that's how you invest in yourself. Make a better you, working out, keeping your health. These cliche things that the elders always say, it's like it's almost coming back to hunt everybody. Your health is your wealth. Invest in yourself. You know, but with that being said, shout out to everybody. And you know what I always say, we here and we gone, you know. Yeah, yeah, but like I say, just any way you can to save money and get to the money, that's all it is, man. You know, any way you can to learn. Like I said, if you can't read, they have ebooks. You know, Google will talk to you. They have push to talk, push to text, all this, everything that you can teach yourself. One of the biggest drug dealers I seen in there about Rick Ross. He taught himself how to read. And when you hear people saying that they can't read, to a degree, everybody knows basic words, the, to, all this, but they're saying, far as the knowledge of them pronouncing bigger words, 2, 3 letter syllables and stuff like that. That's where they, hold back on that. So, with that being said, shout out to everybody. I always say at the end, we here and we gone.